Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's Wednesday Wisdom guest, but like always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. You should be using them too. So take the next 3 minutes, listen to our sponsorship shout outs, and then contact our sponsors. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support. Go to their website and check out their interactive touchscreen. That's right, touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to show off your school record boards, maybe your school's Hall of Fame, or simply showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. They're going to get your school set up. It's digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, more customization. Hometownticketing.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule a live web demo to see their scoreboards and their score tables in action. Their products not only generate income for your athletic department, they also create the ultimate game day experience for your student athletes. That's sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thanks to Huddle. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that let them coach our kids up to their highest level. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We also want to say thanks to Home Campus. As an athletic director, I used Home Campus every single day, and so will you. Things like scheduling, student athlete eligibility and clearance. Who doesn't do that on a daily basis? Talking to parents, working with coaches, you name it, Home Campus does it. To get started, all you have to do is go to homecampus.com. That's homecampus.com. We'd also like to thank Gipper, the official social media graphics solution for the podcast. If you go to Gipper.com, their team will help you to create world-class content on your school's social media channel. It's going to help you celebrate your athletes and promote your teams. Your kids are on social media, and if you're not, you're really missing out on a great opportunity to promote your program. Gipper's used and trusted by over 3,000 athletic programs across the country. It's professional graphic design made simple. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We'd like to thank Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Athletic surveys will connect you. They're going to connect you to the people that gripe about your program that you already hear about, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that support your program. And that's a tremendously valuable tool to have when you're talking with a frustrated parent or your principal or your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. And we want to say thanks to Snap Raise. If you're looking for a fundraising platform, stop right here and go to snapraise.com. Hands down, it's the best one out there. They even have a program where they will send you your funding before you actually start your fundraiser. Nobody else does that. Go to snapraise.com. We use it at our school. Tremendous success. You're going to love it too. snapraise.com. Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got one of our most popular Wednesday Wisdom guests back. She's a good friend. We recently, I guess they reconnected, got to see each other a little bit at the National AD Conference. We're speaking today with Victoria Druehl. Regular listeners will recognize that name. Victoria's a strength and conditioning professional, longtime coach at the high school as well as the college level. Has her own company, Health Elevated, wellness and fitness consulting. And she works for a company called Volt Athletics. She shared about Volt in the past, but maybe she's going to share some more today. Victoria Druehl, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom.
Hey, good to see you again. That was fun to see you in person, not through a screen.
That's right. Well, people will say, Jake, you're all over the place. You're officiating and you're doing this. You are all over the place. I love your posts There's always a fitness and a fun thing involved with that. But what do you have for our listeners this week on Wednesday Wisdom?
I do feel like I'm all over the place, which is good. I don't mind being all over the place. It's kind of fun. But bouncing around to conferences is always, a really fun part of my job with Volta Athletics, getting to connect and reconnect with new coaches, old coaches, new faces. It's always a good time. So I love the annual AD conference. Never disappoints.
Mhm. Well, again, you're one of those people, and for listeners, we'll give out Victoria's contact information at the end of the podcast, but we always talk about the importance of networking and building your network. And Victoria is somebody that you should have in your network. She's, I would say, I don't want to say a rising star. She is a star in our profession in a couple of different areas. So, again, Victoria, thanks for spending time with us. What do you have for our listeners?
Yeah, I think, thanks for that, by the way. I think the other piece that everybody needs in their corner are your parents at your organizations. For those of you that don't really know my history, I've worked in the academic setting in athletics, and the academic side. I take that back. The educational setting in athletics and the academic side. And so I've seen both angles of parent interaction and parent engagement. They look a little bit different, but the most common theme amongst athletics and academia would be that parents just tend to be the bane of everybody's existence. Nobody wants to deal with parents. Everyone is trying to please them. They can cause lots of disruption to your execution in your athletic programs. I'm sure most of your inboxes are probably primarily flooded with parent emails. And I know this is just a common theme that a lot of ADs, athletic directors, head coaches, anyone in the S&C space at some point has to deal with a parent. And if you're at the collegiate level, maybe a little bit less, but at some point you will run into parents on the sidelines, at events, group texts, group emails. If one of your athletes gets injured, at some point you are going to have some sort of parent interaction and engagement. I would like to hope that most of those engagements are positive ones, but we all know that most of the time when a parent is reaching out to you, it's usually not to give you positive feedback. It's usually something negative, complaining, et cetera, et cetera. None of us know how to do our job. We all suck. My kid's not getting playing time. We don't know how to do this. We don't know how to do that. So over the years, I have sort of collected and stolen ideas from other friends and coaches and organizations on how they potentially try to manage their parents. And I'm sure everybody has a different strategy with this. I've been fortunate over the years to have pretty good parents. Um, so I haven't had too many negative experiences, but I think I've harped on this piece a lot is especially with you, the conversation always comes down to transparency. Parents, if you put yourselves, I'm not a parent, so I do have to try to put myself in their shoes. Their kids are with us more than they're with them. And they do need to know, what's going on in their kids' lives. They do want to understand what their kid's day looks like. They do want to know how their kid is behaving or acting, whether it's on the sports field or not. So I do think transparency is always key, as much as you can. I know there's always a boundary at some point where you can only be as transparent as you can be, but I do think that's an important piece. I've seen, and I think it's if you have the time or you have an assistant or you have someone who can help you, scribing up a parent newsletter is kind of a cool feature to keep the parents involved. I know a lot of schools do newsletters from the educational side of things and the academia side of things. Sometimes those newsletters are internal, but branch out, make them external. Have just a parent newsletter about whether it's weekly or monthly, the types of things that the students are doing with their teams. Sometimes teams do outreach work. Maybe they're not privy to some of the stuff that they're doing. Maybe you put some of the onus on the coaches to write a segment like a coach's corner on maybe give shout outs. Sometimes that's a little touchy subject too, but sort of paint a little bit more of the picture of what's going on. A lot of that content can come from your head coaches. Maybe it's a seasonal thing. Maybe you do one at the start of the fall season, maybe you do one at the start of the winter season, or maybe a conclusive one at the end of each season as well, to sort of recap. Because really, if you do a banquet, a sports banquet, that's really the only time that all of the parents and the athletes and the coaches really get together in one room in sort of this celebratory manner. So if you can sort of involve them, and I know there's parent boards and there's um, sometimes those parent groups that are doing some of the athletic events and things like that. I think those are great. I think you should continue to have those. I think the more you can get your parents around, the more they have an understanding of logistics and maybe why they have to share the space, or maybe why practice was canceled, or why we believe strongly that we shouldn't cancel practice. So having them around is a good thing. And I think a lot of ADs would say, oh, having them around is a nightmare, because then they're just in your face complaining. But have them around and give them something to do. Um, give them the task of working the books, or the sidelines, or throwing in footballs, because it's not that easy. So it also gives them the other side of things too, where, the parent that wants to yell at the referee actually is on the other side and kind of understands the stress of it and the high pace of it, and working the books and having some sort of other perspective on watching their child play or having that interaction. So have them around, with the caveat being have them around, but make them busy, make them work concessions, make them work games. Yeah. What else can we do? What else can they do on campus? They can, I don't know, shell out water at game times. I don't know, something. Give them something to do. Um, if you're going to invite them onto your campus, give them a task, and collect tickets, fundraising, organizing a parent. Oh my God, I think the funniest thing that I've seen, and I think it's so cool when you get parents who are down to do this, but a parent dance team. Have you ever seen a school have their parents do like a dance routine?
I haven't seen it in person, but in one of the NIAAA classes on parent engagement, that's the lead-in slide. I think it was a school in Colorado. They had like 40 parents come in and do a dance routine at a pep rally, and it was great. It was, I'm thinking, hey, we should do that at our school.
Oh my gosh, the humiliation piece that their child gets is just a side effect win. But the you're inevitably going to get a mom or a dad who has some sort of dance history, or former cheerleader, and or aspiring Zumba instructor, something that you can put together a parent group to do the homecoming halftime show with the dance team, or the basketball senior night. Like, that's hilarious, and I encourage everyone to do it because it's just so fun, and just super light and super fluffy, but just another way to get a group of parents on your side, because that's really what we all want as administrators. We need the parents on our side. They have a lot to do with our job security, and they have a lot to do with our job sanity. So finding fun ways to keep them engaged, and that's just one way. I've seen coaches in the past also, if you don't have a group of parents that wants to dance in front of people, your head coaches can host one night that is dedicated to parent night. And you showcase the parents and bring them onto the court or the fields. And I know most schools will do a senior night where that is essentially the parents' time to, acknowledge their kid and support them. But on top of that, that parent has to wait until their child's senior to be recognized. But I think parents do want um, to know that they're supported and that they're supporting you and their child. And it's kind of a way to show them, maybe you give them a bouquet of flowers, or it's, just the mere fact they get to stand out on the court for a round of applause, and that just shows that you are recognizing them, and you can say their names and their child and what year their child is. And parents love, they love when their kid is recognized, but we all like when we too are recognized to some capacity, because they are raising that kid. So that's one way. Have a parents' night. And if the child wants to invite their parents, the parents can come, and we can support them. I've seen a couple other really fun, engaging ideas with parents that I think is quite humbling, for the parent, which is bring your parent to practice day. And, have your parents, if they're able to, watch, but watch from a way of, once again, have them engaged, have them involved. But actually, we would prefer for them to be participating. See the
Right.
rigor that your kid goes through. Don't just be the one that's pushing them to do these things. And I'm sure many of our parents are former athletes, but it is always humbling to go back and remember, oh yeah, it's not that easy. My kid is physically tired, and um, this coach really does have a structured practice and knows what they're talking about. And I'm sure this is going to be, some coaches are not going to want that. Some coaches they like the closed door option. But if you have a head coach that's open to that, that is definitely another way to get your parents in on the ground floor where things are happening. From the weight room side of things, that's another space that's very scary for parents, and they don't quite understand what's going on in there. They kind of just think kids are lifting really heavy weights, and it's this, like, meathead environment, and there's no rhyme or reason as to why they're doing. Invite them in. Always invite them in, right? This once again goes back to that transparency piece. Come, have a day where it's like, bring your parent to the weight room, or and that can be twofold as well. Come and just watch, like bring your parent, bring your grandparent, whatever it might be, bring your guardian, and observe. That's one way to do it. Come observe, because that is a little bit more of a dangerous environment, to have just people roaming around. But the other piece that I've seen people do, which I think is so cool, is um, you could do this in many ways, but it was, the girls lifting, bring your dad to workout day. And, like the old school, bring your kid to work day. Well, it's now reversed, bring your dad or bring your mom to work out. And it's a designated time, that's, uninterrupted any other things that you have going on, but it's a time, could be a weekend or a morning or an afternoon, where it's anybody who wants to bring their mom or their dad to come work out, and it will be like a led group session. So there is, once again, that parent interaction and parent engagement, where they have now some understanding of what goes on in that
Right.
space. They have an understanding of who is in charge of that space, and kind of just what that flow looks like. And even then, there's a piece where they tend to be impressed at what their kid is doing that they didn't even know. Because as we know, kids don't go home and talk to their parents. So they don't tell them what they've done. You have to literally pry it out of them. And even when you do pry it out of them, they're not usually telling you some of the impressive pieces, because they don't sometimes find it impressive, but mom or dad might find it impressive. So allowing them in to see what their kids are capable of. I also think when parents come and they peekaboo from the sideline, it's also a good way for them to observe their own child's behavior and interaction with their teammates. So as I think, as long as administration is comfortable and your head coaches are comfortable with a level of transparency, I think it's a win-win to have parents on campus, in your doors. Don't just wait for parent-teacher conferences to invite them into the classroom or the setting. Bring them in all the time, and make sure you just establish those boundaries of, when they come in, there's not an open door to complain and have access to you. It's more of, come in, enjoy our space, and hopefully we create this bond where you just have a better understanding of what goes on here, you
Yeah.
know?
No, oh, I was just listening to your suggestions, and I love them all. And it shows the contrast between 100 years ago when I was in high school and now. Back then, parents were not involved at all. And they didn't care. From the school, it was, hey, parents, we got this. You just come to the games. Now it's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It's just different. Parents are going to be involved. Parents want to be involved. And so coaches and athletic directors, they're going to do some of the things that you suggested to engage them. I use the expression as I'm talking to coaches, the parents are along for the ride. Let's make it a nice ride. We're not going to give them the keys to the car, but they're riding in that back seat, hopefully not the front seat. Let's make it a fun ride for everybody, the kid, the parent, and the coaches. So as you said, give them things to do, engage them. I love the idea of, your parent night, and not just a senior night, it's a parent night. I mean, what better way to get the whole parent group involved? But we talk about also give them a role. And you said, have them keep the scorebook, have them help at concessions. Don't ask them if they want to do it. Let them know, hey, your kid's on the team. We love your kid. We love you. Guess what? You've got a role too. And just some great advice for any coach or any AD listening. Um, Victoria, you've got, as I shared, you got a ton of experience. You worked at some very high-powered schools as a coach, as an educator. You're in the professional world now. If one of our listeners did want to reach out and add you to the network, what's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is probably LinkedIn. I am pretty active on LinkedIn, and I do check it quite a bit. So feel free to find me there, Victoria. My last name is Druehl. Should be easy to find. Not many of those out there. Or you can email me, victoria@voltathletics.com.
Okay. And let's give a quick, I'm going to hold you to 30 seconds, but if you want to go more, you can. Let our new listeners that haven't connected with you yet, what's Volt, what's it all about, and why should they get a hold of you?
Yes, I now do some consulting with Volta Athletics. I work with a lot of our customers and our prospective customers and coaches. We are a strength and conditioning PE curriculum platform. So you can use this in many facets. You can use us as a curriculum to enroll in your PE courses. Or if you have a strength and conditioning coach, your strength and conditioning coach can program their sports specific programs for all the athletes. So it's a multifold program. Happy to talk with anyone who might be interested in integrating a fitness piece to their PE curriculums, or possibly ramping up the strength and conditioning or sports performance piece at their schools.
Okay. Well, thanks again for joining us on Wednesday Wisdom. You're always welcome. All the best as we move into 2024, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you so much.
For our listeners, we appreciate you listening. And just a reminder, we upload these Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this every week. So please come back and join us next Wednesday for another great Wednesday Wisdom guest, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, before we go, we want to give a shout out to our great sponsors again. Please visit our sponsors. You're going to be glad that you did. Home Campus, that's homecampus.com. Gippers, the official social media graphics solution for us. Go to gipper.com. We want to thank Huddle. I used it as a football coach, as an AD. We were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com to get signed up. Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com to get started. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. If you're not using a survey, you're really missing out. Go to athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you're looking for a fundraiser, stop right here. Go to Snap Raise. Snapraise.com is all you got to do. Snapraise.com. And Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check out their interactive touchscreen video consoles. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Thanks again for listening to this episode of Wednesday Wisdom. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.